Important points to remember from Tales for the Odyssey. When you return to school on Wednesday, you should have read up through chapter 5. We did the prologue in chapters 1 and 2 in school, but these are the important points for all 5 chapters. Tales from the Odyssey by Mary Pope Osborne. In the prologue, we learned that the Odyssey is a long journey or trip. The original Odyssey was written almost 3,000 years ago by Homer, an ancient Greek poet. In ancient Greek times, it was believed that the gods and goddesses lived on Mount Olympus. The Greeks believed the gods and goddesses had great power over the lives of humans. Chapter 1. Odysseus lived on the island of Ithaca, part of the Greek islands. Odysseus was king of his island of Ithaca. Agamemnon was king of all the Greek islands. All of the kings and princes wanted to marry Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world. It was Odysseus who came up with the plan that all the other kings and princes would swear to defend the marriage of Helen, no matter which man she chose to marry. Helen chose Agamemnon. Helen was kidnapped by Paris of Troy and taken away. Agamemnon called all the kings and princes of Greece and demanded that they keep their promise. Odysseus did not want to go. Odysseus loved his family and pretended he was crazy so he would not have to go to war. This didn't work. Chapter 2. Odysseus goes off to war. The war lasts for 10 long years. And Odysseus is sad because his son grew up without him and his parents may be dead. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war, appears to Odysseus and gives him a plan to help the Greeks defeat the Trojans. The Greeks build a giant horse and hide some soldiers inside, but it's a trick. The Trojans think the Greeks gave up, and they take their horse inside their city walls. The Greeks sneak out of the horse while everyone is asleep and let in the rest of the Greek soldiers. The Greeks win the war. It's time to go home. In chapter 3, a huge storm hits the Greeks. Zeus sends thunder from the skies and Poseidon sends fierce waves. Zeus is the god of the skies and the king of all the gods. Poseidon is his brother and the god of the seas. Some of the Greeks ruined Athena's temple, and the gods are angry at the Greeks, so they send the storms. The Greeks land on a small island. 3 men are sent out to patrol and do not come back. When Odysseus finds them, they have forgotten everything they ever knew. They want to eat the lotus flowers and be happy forever, but Odysseus drags them back to the ship. Chapter 4. The Greeks leave the island of the lotus eaters. They set sail and land on another island where they need to get food and water. They hunt goats in the mountains and get their supplies. But Odysseus sees smoke, and he wonders who owns the goats and who lives on the island. The men beg Odysseus to leave, but he wants to see who lives on this island. At the end of the chapter, the men see that it is a monster who lives on the island and tends the goats. Chapter 5. The giant is a one-eyed monster called a Cyclops. His name is Polyphemus. He captures the Greeks and locks them in his cave. He eats some of the Greeks for supper, and Odysseus is very angry. While the giant falls asleep, Odysseus wants to kill him because he's so angry, but if he does, his men will never be able to move the heavy rock that blocks the door from the cave entrance. They must wait until morning.